Well, I got my first Spectrum in 1983, 40 years ago. The first came out in 1982, developed and designed by Sinclair Research Limited. And on this day, in 2023, we've received the Spectrum Next 2. Now, I originally ordered this in September 2020. So here we go. Love the outer box. R-tape loading error 01. Do not open with sharp instrument. Oops. And here we go. Let's lift it out of the box. So here it is, the Spectrum Next KickStarter 2, or the Spectrum Next 2. Let's open it up. So there's the box with the cellophane off. Let's lift the lid on it now. So here we have the Spectrum Next. Wow. Look at that. See the ports on the back and on the side. The Spectrum logo. It's very well designed as per the original. Absolutely brilliant. Just while we're taking that out, just a massive thank you to the Next team that built this, because I know they've been inundated with problems with supply and things. They hit all of the issues that came out at the back of the pandemic, and it's fantastic to actually get these out in the end. Let's have a look and see what we've got in here. So in this box, we've got the power supply. It's a number of different plug sockets. I'll remove that one. And as we are in the UK, we will pop the UK cap on there. So to pop your power supply together, you pop that in there, clip it round, and then we're done. A little cable tie on there, we'll undo. There we go. See the Sinclair branding on it. And let's have a look and see what output it is. So the output, like the original, is 9 volts. And this is 9 volts, 2 amps. So very in keeping with the original there. What's also included with the pack I got is an on-off switch as well, which basically goes in line and then plugs into the computer. As you'll know, if you had an original Spectrum, they didn't have an on-off switch, so this will come in very handy. We then have the quick start guide. And we have the ZX Spectrum Next user manual. Very in keeping with the original as well, except for, if you remember, that one was like a beigey colour with a kind of sun on it, but very futuristic, eh? Brought up to date. We'll see the back, the Sinclair logo on it and everything. See a lot of detail in that one. The manuals were always fantastic as well with the Spectrums, and it looks like this is not going to be any exception either. How exciting. So that's everything in the box. So this is the accelerated version of the Spectrum Next. And again, it's a Spectrum Next 2. So we've got the Spectrum Next. We've got the quick start guide. We've got the user manual. We've got the power supply and the switch. So fantastic set of things there. Now in the side here, it also comes with a SD card, and you can see the different ports along there. We'll just run through them. So we've got the 9 volt DC, which is where the power connects in, surprise, surprise. We've got the digital out, which connects basically a HDMI output. We've got the ear and the mic, so you can connect it up to your cassette recorder. Yes, you can actually connect this up to a cassette recorder and load games and other programs from that too. We've got the VGA outlet, if you want to connect it to a VGA monitor. We've also got a keyboard and mouse port there, as well as some connections, which is for the accelerator board, which is inside. On the side here, we've got a reset button, we've got a drive button, and we've got an NMI button, or non-maskable interrupt button. And then on the front, we've got a couple of joystick ports. How about that? We have on the back the edge connector for plugging in any original Spectrum peripherals. I'll cover that one back up. Got into some bother a few times plugging things into the edge connector. So there we go. The Spectrum Next KS2. Now what's really interesting, there's people already selling these on eBay for up to £1,000. So very collectible. No, I'm not selling mine. For those of you that watch the channel, you're probably already aware that I was very much into electronics from a very young age, but I also got into computing when I was 9, 10, and found it really fascinating. And I got my first Spectrum at the age of 10. I started with a ZX81 and then progressed to a Spectrum, which was game changing, because that's where I really learned how to program. At that time, I couldn't afford to buy games all the time. We had a few games, which we'll have a look at some of them that were my favourite a little bit later, but we couldn't afford the games. So I actually spent time learning how to program, and I did a mixture of a bit of assembly language and also basic. I had a lot of basic programming and built various programs and applications. One of the key things I built, which was in the later time with the Spectrum, was a bulletin board system called Detail at the time, which was a dial-up bulletin board on a Spectrum Plus 3. The Spectrums I had was, I started with the Spectrum 48K, yes, really splashed out for the 48K RAM. Then got a Spectrum 128, or the Toast Rack as it's known. And then finally got, my last Spectrum was a Spectrum Plus 3, which was, it had moved on from Sinclair at that point after the unfortunate failure of the Quantum Leap, or the Sinclair QL, and the Sinclair C5. We then moved on to the Spectrums and Sinclair name for computing, moved to Alan Sugar and Amstrad. And the last one I had was a Spectrum Plus 3. It had a 3-inch disk drive in the side, and I think I used to upset the people at Comet at the time because I used it that much with the bulletin board I was running. The mechanism used to dry up in the disk drive, and I used to rock up at the shop with the disk drive, not the whole computer, for replacement. In the end, they offered to refund it, but do you know what? I loved that computer. I loved all of the Spectrums, and I think it's part of what made me who I am today. So the reason for getting the KickStarter, or the KickStarter 2, I missed the first one, and I wanted to be a part of the second one. So I decided to back the Kickstarter for the Spectrum Next issue 2. And the reason for doing that was I wanted a little bit of a part of the history now. And it looked such an exciting project. And the team that they pulled together to build this was absolutely amazing. And just in memory of what happened 40 years ago, the computer, which changed my life. So that's how it got here today. The Kickstarter was massively oversubscribed and unfortunately hit right at the time of the pandemic. It was due in 2021 and it's just arrived today on the 15th of December 2023, just in time for Christmas. So you can see which gadget I'm going to be playing on in the van over Christmas. It's the Spectrum Next KickStarter 2.